Om Gananam tva Ganapatigum Havamahe Kavin Kavinamupamashravastamam Jyeshtarajam Brahmanam Brahmanaspata Anashunvannutibhissidasadanam Om Sri Mahaganadhipataye Namaha Prano Devi Saraswati Vajebhir Vajinivati Dhinama Vitriyavatu Saraswatyai Namaha Sri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om. Right, so we are going to start from Shloka 59, I believe. 59. So we'll just first look at the breakdown. What namas do we have in there? And then we'll go into, we'll chant, and then we'll go into the namas. Okay, so the first important thing to notice here, the first nama, it actually starts with Vedhaha. It is not Vedaha, because we are so used to the Veda. So there's a lot of people who actually make a mistake here. It is Vedha Swango in this particular shloka, and there is a completely different meaning than when it is Vedaha. And Veda appears like, Veda with, so there are so many other namas that are with Veda. So Vedha Swango, so Vedhaha, Swangaha, Ajitaha, Krishnaha, Dhridaha, Sankarshanaha, Achyutaha. So those are the namas in the first line. Varunaha, Varunaha, Vrikshaha, Pushkarakshaha, Mahamanaha are the 5 namas in the second line. So let's look at the chanting nuances. Because Vishnu Sahasranamam, most of the namas end with Visarga because it is like mostly masculine namas. So Vedhas, so there is a Swangaha starts with S. So if you remember, Visarga should be followed by, please mute yourself, mute otherwise.
What is coming?
So Vedhas Swango, there will be an extra sibilant, S will be added there. Vedhas Swango Jitaha, though the nama is Ajitaha, you would see if you're reading it from Sanskritam or Telugu or any of the regional languages, you would see an avasarga there. So Swango Jitaha. Vedhas Swango Jitah Krishno, notice that Visarga followed by a ka would have an ich kind of a sound. So Jitah Krishno, Ajitah Krishno. Drudas and Drudha is a second dha, it is not regular da. Drudas, so there will be an extra sibilant because the next nama starts with Sankarshana S. So Drudas Sankarshanochutaha, again Achyutaha. Sankarshanochutaha is Sankarshanaha and Achyutaha. The next line is pretty straightforward, except like Vrikshaf, because there is a pa, Pushkarakshaha. So Visarga followed by a pa is an F kind of a sound, and that's the only F, Phalam, it is not Phalam. So in the only time you get the opportunity to chant an F in Sanskritam and in Veda is when you hear Visarga followed by a pa. So Vrikshaf Pushkaraksho Mahamanaha. So we usually don't lose those opportunities, like pronouncing the F. So we'll chant this shloka and then we'll go into the meanings. Who would like to chant with me?
I can, Shriji.
Vedhasvango jitah Krishno drudha sankarshanoচ্युतः.
Vedhaswango jitah Krishno drudha sankarshanoচ্युतः.
Very good. Varuno Varuno Vrikshah Pushkaraksho Mahamanaha.
Varuno Varuno Vrikshah Pushkaraksho Mahamanaha.
Okay, would you like to chant the full shloka, Anita?
Sure, Shriji. Vedhaswango jitah Krishno drudha sankarshanoচ্युतः. Varuno Varuno Vrikshah Pushkaraksho Mahamanaha.
Awesome. Vedhaha is a dhirgam as well. Otherwise, very well done. So we'll look at the meanings. Vedaha. We all know what is Veda. Veda is knowledge, and Bhagavan is the creator of knowledge and is the one that is to be attained by that knowledge. So we know all of those meanings. Now we will look at what is Vedaha, just the difference in observe how much the meaning changes when you just add, like, an extra emphasis on the dha, if it was and it was not, and how much meaning will change if we chanted it incorrectly. In some cases, in this case, if you said Veda, it still works because both meanings are, both namas are Bhagavan namas. In some other cases, when you just remove a dhirgam or something, a suswaram is fine. Like a duswaram actually will change the complete meaning, could even mean sometimes the opposite thing. So it's important to pay attention to the chanting. Vedhaha. So Shankaracharya in his Bhashyam provides the meaning vidadhati srijati iti vidhata vedhaha, or the creator. Bhagavan as the Srishtikarta, the Chaturmukha Brahma Swarupam, he is the one, the Prajapati, has created the entire universe. So as a creator, he is the one. Vidadhati srijati iti vidhata. And there are a couple other meanings as well. So from now on, we'll just try to go into a few more meanings than just one. That is in, Shankaracharya himself provides multiple meanings, and then there are other bhashyams. So Narayana Acharya or Bhattatiri. So we will just go through a few more meanings where applicable. Then there is a meaning called vidhadhati iti vedaha. Vidhadhati means somebody who is the giver or bestower of all the splendid things that we would need in order to sustain a living in the universe. So he just does not create us, but he is also the provider, the sustainer of our lives, and therefore he is the provider. And there is another meaning, which is the doer of auspicious happenings in rituals. When we have homas or major pujas or any puja, so all the auspicious things that we do, he is the doer, he is the karta of those. So that's the other three different meanings that are being given. And we'll move to swangaha. Angaha means limbs. Swa angaha, there are multiple ways it has been interpreted. Krantiji, did you have a question? Okay. So there are multiple meanings that have been given. So we'll look at how it has been interpreted. So we'll go with the main Shankara Bhashyam, and then we'll look at all the other opportunities as well. Swayameva karyasya karane angam sahakaroti iti swangaha. So he himself is the instrument in accomplishing the creation and the sustenance and the destruction of the entire universe. So does anybody remember what is the nyaya that we keep talking about? He is the abhinna nimitta upadana karanam. He is the intellectual as the material cause of the entire creation. So swangaha means somebody who is not dependent on somebody else's limbs, because if we want to work in a profession or even in our household chores, we usually seek more hands than what we have. But Bhagavan is Sahasraksha Sahasrapat. We have seen that because he is so the absolute power, he has the absolute strength to create the universe. He does not need any additional instruments or any additional limbs, his own limbs. So swa angaha means swayameva karyasya karane angam sahakaroti iti swangaha. The other meanings that are given, he who has the marks of sovereignty, which are his own. As the Supreme Lord, he has his own marks of sovereignty. And what are those? The Chatram, Charmaram, all of the upacharas that we do, the Rajopacharam that we do, they are all are explained as Svanyante, Sabdhyante. So that's the other one. Sorry, I'll just go into that explanation. So he has all of those marks of sovereignty. Therefore, he is Swangaha. And Swami Chinmayananda provides the other meaning, which is he who has beautiful and well proportioned limbs, and there are a few other namas that also give the same meaning in Vishnu Sahasranamam. And he is in the form of the universe, moves by himself, so he does not need anybody else or any other activity or anybody else who is needed for him to move the universe. So he is Swangaha. Sorry, one second. Sorry about that. So moving to the next nama, Ajitaha. Go ahead.
Quick question, I'm sorry. So what is the Chatram, Charmaram and all that you're talking about? How?
So anything like, all the jewelry that we talk about, like, Bhagavan owns or Bhagavan has, they are his own and nobody else has those. So it is the sovereign marks, like, when we talk about the Srivatsa mark, or I'm trying to recollect the name of the jewel that Bhagavan wears, the Marakatam. Sorry, if anybody has the name on top of their mind, if you can help me, that would be great. So
Kaustuba, is it Kaustuba?
Kaustuba jewel, or the Nandakam, or the Gada that he wears, all of those are his own. So that is how it is explained as, just looking for the exact, Sanskritam one that actually I can explain it. Swanyante, Sabdhyante, Sukti Bhiriti, Swanti, Adrishani. So all of these that are the invisible, yet that actually determine that he is the Supreme Lord, that show off that he is the Supreme Lord, the one that he owns all of those. Therefore, he is Swangaha, is how it is explained. Does that make sense?
Thank you, Shriji. Yes.
Okay. The next nama is Ajitaha. I think this is a little easier for all of us to understand. Na Jita iti Ajitaha. So the one who has never been conquered or can never be conquered, like, he's neither in the past nor in the future. He can never be conquered. He is therefore Ajitaha. So na jitaha kenapi tribhuvane iti, in the entire universe, in all the three bhuvanas, on all the three lokas, or bhuvanas, 14 lokas, he is somebody who cannot be conquered. Therefore, he is Ajitaha. And I've seen one more explanation in any of the Kenapi avatar, like, in all the different avatars, he's never been conquered. In any avatara he takes, he has killed asuras and can never be conquered. So that's the meaning of Ajitaha. And there is another interpretation that is taken from Bhagavatam, where Tatrapi Deva Sambhutavyam. So Sambhutyam and Vairajasya Abhavat Sutaha. So he is the son of Sambhuti and Vairaja. His name is Ajita, Ajito Nama Bhagavan, Amshena Jagatah Patihi. So during the Kshira Samudra Mathanam, he took the Nama Ajita and appeared as Ajitaha in the 6th Manvantara as the son of Sambhuti and helped in churning of the milk. And of course, we all know he is also taken the Kurma Avatara to support the Manthara mountain in that process. Okay. Next nama, Krishnaha. As you can imagine, there are so many, then it's like, a multifold meaning, or so, like, so many different dimensions to this nama. And it appears, I think it appears a couple times. Just 1 second. Yeah, it appears as the 550th nama as well as the 57th nama. So it appeared twice in Vishnu Sahasranamam. So we've seen a few meanings there. So we will look at some other meanings, and maybe there's, like, Swamiji is trying to also remind some some meanings that he's revising with us from the 57. So one who is always in a state of bliss. And who else can portray that state of bliss than Bhagavan Krishna himself? In every kind of scenario, he has shown us what a blissful living would be. So something that we could just simply just see his face and see in the Mukharavindam and just, follow, like, as soon as we see Bhagavan's Rupam, we ourselves become blissful. So the one who is always in a state of bliss is the first meaning that's been given. Krishnaha, as we all know, the dark hued. So if you remember, like, Krishna is Draupadi, Krishna Dvaipayanaha is Vyasa. So Krishna itself means dark hued. He who is irresistibly attracts his devotees to him through his infinite Kalyanugunas. So depending on the all the different kalas, whatever appeals to his devotees, he becomes that appealing factor and attracts his devotees towards him. Therefore, he is Krishna. And the fourth meaning that's given is he who cultivates the earth like a plough and makes it suitable for life forms to form and nourish, is the other meaning. I'm not too familiar with this meaning, but I was just reading it. He who appeared as Veda Vyasa and Krishna Dvaipayana, we were just talking about that. And of course, if you remember the initial shlokas, the Dhyana shloka, not the Dhyana shlokas, the Purvangam of Vishnu Sahasranamam, we also used that shloka where we were comparing, like, Krishna Dvaipayana is nobody other than Krishna himself, Lord Narayana himself. He who cultivates the minds of devotees by providing the Vedas in his incarnation as Krishna Dvaipayana is a different meaning that was given by another Acharya. The dark, mysterious, and unknowable except by deep devotion. So it also relates very closely to the Daharakasam, and because Daharakasha has the dark is related to that, and the Krishna in the heart, and how we see light, Bhagavan as the light within the Daharakasam is also considered Krishna.
Excuse me, Sriji.
Go ahead.
Is the Hirakasham and Chidakasham the same?
Same and a little different. Daharakasam is very usually used for the center of the heart. Chidakasham is in the Daharakasham is what we say, but Chidakasham is spread in the entire universe as well.
So this is more localized, is that what you mean?
Yeah.
Okay.
So when we say, like, when Daharakashe sthitaha, we are actually very specifically bringing the whole Chidakasha into the center of our heart and meditating on it.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Okay, the next nama is Dhridaha. Dridhaha. Sorry, I pronounced it wrong. Dridhaha. The dha is the Mahaprana and the is the regular one, and it is the r, the vowel r. It's not the ra. Ya ra. Okay, and I think we use this term in our regional languages. Dhridatvam means one who assumes firm, concrete vyuha for the benefit of his devotees. So you can just take it as one who is solid, like, the substratum that is bearing the weight of the entire universe, and the dhridatvam that is required to maintain and sustain the universe, that is Bhagavan. And he is the one who assumes the firm and concrete vyuha forms for the benefit of his devotees. Is a different explanation how you can just do the vyutpatti for it. He who is firm and determined in his thoughts, words, and deeds. And we also say, like, dhrida nishchayaha, somebody who is determined and is firm. So that is also dhridatvam, and is, like, one of the attributes. If Bhagavan has it, he has the ability to bestow us too, or he has it in absolute measure and we have it in relative measure. And how relative is that to the absolute is depending on how a person, like, we see some people that are very determined, and then some other people who may not be as comparable to the other person in determination. So the Bhagavan is the one who bestows those qualities that he already has in absolute measure to one that actually focuses and meditates and tries to achieve those goals. He who is firmly established and cannot be denegated as the supreme deity by counter arguments is the other meaning. he who is huge and strong. So dhridatvam in the form of a physical form. So if we think about Rama or Krishna or Balarama or Parashurama or any of the avatars, he is huge and strong as a physical attribute of Bhagavan. Okay, moving to the next nama, Sankarshanaha. Notice, go ahead.
It has got like both meanings, physical as well as the inner.
The physical meaning, the mental meaning, like when we think about determination as a character, so that meaning, and as a substratum, as the microcosm and the macrocosm. So it has various levels of meanings of everything that you think of dhridatvam in whatever way, that all dhridatvam is nothing but Bhagavan's vibhuti.
Thank you.
Sankarshanaha. Notice the na here. It is not sankarshana, it is sankarshana, like the tatada dhana. And don't know if I ever mentioned why there is sometimes na and why there is sometimes shana. So anytime Patanjali's grammar actually tells us in the sutras that when there is a ra or a sha in some of those, like the nimittam, then the ending na would be na, and it is not na. So it is very important to remember sankarshana. And sankarshana is one of the 24 namas, the Keshava namas that I have previously passed on. If anybody is chanting those on a regular basis, you will remember it. Sankarshana has a lot of multiple, again, dimensional meanings. So it is related to the origin is related to the same similar word as akarshana. We all know he who draws others near him is sankarshana, is the basic meaning. And should I be mentioning what the mantram for each of these would be if we were doing just the japam of that particular nama? I have not been doing that for the last 4. Or is everybody comfortable without that? Okay, assume we are. So moving, samsare, chit, achit, or chit achito hatmani, samam karshanat, samam karshanam nayati. In this world, he draws towards himself both the chit and achit in the same way and unites them. His power of attraction is uniform and he is called as Sankarshana. So this is Shankaracharya refers to this attraction as referring to the time of cosmic dissolution when Bhagavan draws everything towards himself. But you can also put it as the way how devotees, he attracts his devotees to himself. And sometimes as we are born, we don't even know, to pray to Bhagavan or to be attracted to him or anything of that sort. But at a very young age, many people become that devoted bhaktas, and he knows how to attract us towards him or pull us towards him. So you can take it as Bhaktavatsala, and also as somebody the entire universe, its creation, the manifestation and the unmanifestation. So Sankarshana is somebody who draws everything towards him. Achyutaha.
Sriji?
Go ahead, Padma.
Sriji, chit and achit. What would that be exactly?
So the matter, chit is the consciousness, and achit is the matter, that exists, that is without the consciousness. There are 2 components that we have talked about in the previous lesson.
I think it could be considered as chetana and achetana. So probably that is a little bit lesser.
Easier. Consciousness, chetana is movement, right? To me, those are a little different, slightly different. But chit to me is the consciousness, and consciousness is a chetana. Consciousness is not moving anywhere.
I thought I read somewhere that chetana and achetana, when there is a time for dissolution, so he attracts or he dissolves everything chetana and achetana into himself. Correct. That's why the other meaning for sankarshana. That's what that's the thing that I thought, I heard somewhere also the other meaning.
Correct. Yes.
During the time of dissolution.
Absolutely. That description would apply. because everything will be dissolved into him, and whether it is the moving or the immovable.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
immovable is Chit. Chit is not Chetana. That's why I was trying to differentiate that. So it follows the other way. If we are saying Chit is Achetanam, because Chit conscious is so spread into the entire universe that it has no other place to move. And if the universe is expanding further, the Chit is without Chit, there is no expansion happening. So Chit is not moving, vibration to it.
Yeah. Okay. I got it. Thanks.
So it's the other way. That's why I was confused a little bit, but your point is absolutely right. All the movable and immovable things, everything get merged into Bhagavan. He attracts all of those into himself. Therefore, he is Sankarshanaha.
So is Chetana the prana, Sriji?
Chetana is everything other than consciousness. Everything that has a vibration, everything that has a movement, everything that is growing, everything that is changing is Chetana.
So Chaitanyam, when you say Chaitanyam.
Chaitanyam is related to the word Chit.
Chit, okay. All right. Thank you.
Okay. Achyutaha, and I think this nama would have also appeared previously. Just looking for it. Sankarshanochitaha. Actually, I'm just noticing. I'm doing two different books, and I'm noticing actual Shankaracharya's Bhashyam here, Sankarshanochitaha have been taken together. The one who attracts and is unswerving is how he explained it. Samsara samaye yugapat prajaha sankarshati sankarshanaha nachyotati swarupaditya achyutaha. So Sankarshana and Achyuta together constitute one nama in Shankara Bhashyam. At the time of Pralaya, Bhagavan Sankarshati draws everything and everyone at once to himself and is himself called Sankarshana. He is Achyuta because he never swerves from his nature of doing the Pralayam. So they are given together. Somehow I got confused there. So I'm glad I looked for it. So I
think it's the same as repeat as 101 nama, I think, if I remember correctly.
Achyuta?
101, yes.
Yeah, I think that's why Shankaracharya would have provided different meanings, and that's why I was thinking what was the meaning. Achyuta has the beautiful meaning when we talk about somebody who cannot be partitioned or somebody who is not breakable into smaller pieces. So I was thinking what is the Achyuta nama here? So then I noticed Sankarshanochutaha were together in Shankara Bhashyam.
Yeah.
And I think this is one of the namas we are supposed to chant before we read Bhagavatam, right?
Yeah.
Sankarshanaha, Pradyumnaha, Aniruddhaha.
The whole 24 Keshava namas is what I usually go for. No matter at the 3, if I only have my day usually goes with Achyutananta Govinda mostly, and if I have to just do one nama, or sometimes I just say Govinda instead of Ayyo Rama or some other words, I usually do Govinda or Rama comes to mind. Achyutananta Govinda is top 3, and then 24 Keshava namas, and you get Sankarshana, Pradyumna, Niruddha, Purushottama, Dokshaja, in those namas. Yeah. And for any of the Purvokta karmas, we also do Achamanam with Keshava namas, and then do the rest of the 24 before we move to Pranayama and Sankalpam. Okay. Next nama is Varuna. Varunaha, the concealer. So if you remember, Varunaha would have been the nama for Bhagavan, as Varuna, the god of rain or god of water. And now there is a different meaning that is being given by Shankaracharya, is the concealer. Swarashminam Samvaranas. Sorry, I don't know why I can't read today. Swarashminam Samvaranat Sayam Gataha Suryo Varunaha. The setting sun is called Varuna because Samvrinnoti, he withholds, conceals all his rays and the heat. The god of water and aquatic animals is also called Varuna. In the evening Sandhya Vandana, Lord Narayana is invoked in the setting such as sun as Varuna, Imam me Varuna Shruti Havamavadishta. So if anybody is doing Sandhya Vandanam, That is from Taittiriya Samhita, the Yajurveda Sandhya Vandanam mantras. But the more important, like the main one that Bhagavan Shankaracharya is taking for Bhagavan's nama here is somebody who is concealing all his race and heat. And would you not apply that to Bhagavan himself? Because if he really portrays his, like, his race and heat as in the time of dissolution, like we were just talking about, everything would be dissolved. So he is currently concealing it. So at least we have a sustainable earth to live on. So one who is concealer of race and heat. Varunaha, the son of Varuna. So water is Bhagavan, Varuna is Bhagavan, and Varuna is the son of Varuna, is also Bhagavan. So it refers to either sage Vasishtha or Agastya, who are partially incarnations of Lord Vishnu and sons of Varuna. Let me see if there was any other meaning for Varunaha. I was curious. He who is with those who are sought him as their Lord or Swami. I've not read these namas in other new commentaries that I'm currently studying, so I'm trying to just remember those other ones. But I've been through Shankara Bhashyam, and now I'm trying to expand that knowledge to other one. Varunaha means he who is with those who have sought him as their Lord or Swami. So I have to really understand what that means. I do not understand when I read it in English. I need to study it in Sanskritam in its original. And he who go ahead.
Sorry. Oh, I think what you are referring is kind of interesting. I think it is in Gita. Krishna says that I am inside the hearts of those people who are my bhaktas.
Mm-hmm.
That's why it is the other meaning for that one is actually God residing in the hearts of their bhakta. His bhaktas is Varuna. That is the another meaning. I think I forgot that sloka, but it says like in Gita, it is Teshu Chapyaham. So I think he resides in the hearts of the his bhaktas. That's why he's called Varuna. That's where I read somewhere in the Bhashya of Vishnu Sahasranamam, particularly for this Varuna meaning.
Varuna.
So he resides in the hearts of his bhaktas.
Mm-hmm.
That is Varuna.
No, in my head, I'm trying to connect the dhatu of Varuna and how that become Varuna. Varuna is usually somebody who is lineage, right? So I'm just trying to connect in my head. So I think I need to do a bit more homework on it.
Like Vasudeva.
Yeah,
so exactly. It is Vasudeva's son. So Varuna is basically what they were saying is he's, as you said in the before, like it is Varuna's son is Varuna.
Correct.
So it's similarly the other meaning is that he resides in the hearts of his bhakta. That's what I
need to connect that to a dhatu. I will look that up. I need to do a bit more learning, because usually Shankaracharya's Bhashyam is what I've gone through multiple times, and that's what I understand. Now I'm trying to see what other acharyas would have told. And Shankaracharya gives the son of Varuna, which is pretty straightforward, meaning Varuna. That is relatable in my head.
Yes.
I'm trying to think how others would relate. So thank you for that. I will do some study on that. And if I find anything, or anybody, Sheshadriji, just give us some notes so we could study on it. We'll move to the nama. Vrikshaha, the one who is stable like a tree, is how Shankaracharya explains. Vriksha iva chalitaha sthira iti vrikshaha. So think about it as he is the movable and he is the immovable, and he is giving an example of immovable as the nama Vrikshaha, or he is in the form of Vrikshaha, or what Vedas Suktam say as Oshadhis. He is in the form of Oshadhis. He is helping us sustain and give, is providing us food and shelter and everything. And as we know, trees just don't provide food. They provide a lot more than that, including oxygen, or the timber that we need, and the rains that fall are because of the trees. So I won't go into that part. So think about all the things that Bhagavan is doing as being has having taken forms as vrikshaha. And all the attributes that apply to vriksha also apply to Bhagavan. That's the one that is Shankaracharya is talking about as stable, as dhridam, as a vriksha. Also, it's a beautiful homework if you want to do it. There are four key vrikshas, I think, important vriksha namas that are given in Vishnu Sahasranamam. If anyone wants to just either Google or just do the homework yourself and find out and post it in the forum, that'll be a nice homework or takeaway. There are 4 or 5. You should get those many namas, and all the key more like the pious auspicious trees. He just gives examples of those, and those names are also all Bhagavan himself. The next nama is Pushkarakshaha, which also appeared previously in 40th nama, the all-pervasive. And the second nama, second meaning to that is the one who shines in the lotus of the heart that we were just talking about in the Daharakasha. So Pushkaraksha is derived from the verbal root aksh. Aksh means preceded by Pushkara, Pushkala, or the massive, the enormity of it means all pervasive. He is in the Pushkaraksha, also related to the Akasha, because he obtains in he is obtained in everybody's heart, shining as the Chit, the consciousness. Pushkara is a lotus, and here it refers to the lotus of the heart, the Anahata Chakra, that we also talk a lot about during Lalita Sahasranamam classes. So they're very, very connected. So just have to remember and connect all the dots. The next nama.
Excuse me, Sriji.
Go ahead.
It says Pushkaraksha is the one with the lotus eyes, right? Pushkaraksha.
Yeah, you could call it that too. Again, 40, probably that's the meaning that Shankaracharya would have given. Aksha means eyes, and Pushkara means lotus. So therefore, eyes like that of lotus petals.
Right, thank you.
Mahamanaha, and remember Mahat Shabdam can be used for only Bhagavan. So Mahamanaha, the one with great mind. So apply all of those things that we have already previously learned about during Gita or Vishnu Sahasranamam, Lalita Sahasranamam classes about manas, and how the word mana could be like mananam, mana could be like measurement. So there are so many different meanings to it. So apply all of those, and you can do your own explanations or interpretations of these namas. So Mahamanaha, the one who is at the absolute measure of manas. So therefore, he is able to actually create, sustain, and do the destruction of the universe, and being all pervasive, being the sakshi, all of that. There's a whole vyuha behind the entire creation, and that is possible only because he is the Mahamanaha. And we've also talked about sankalpa matrena. So in a wink, with just a sankalpam, he was able to create the universe. It didn't take him ages to create it one after the other. Everything was created in with just a little sankalpam that Bhagavan has in his mind. Okay, we have time to go through one more sloka. The next nama is a beautiful one, Bhagavan. So notice the Bha is a Mahaprana. Bhagahanandi. Bhagaha Anandi combined together is like one nama, Bhagahanandi, or Bhagaha and Anandi are two different namas as Shankaracharya has provided. In some other interpretations, it's together. Vanamali, we all know that nama. Halayudhaha, Yuddha is a Mahaprana. Adityo Jyotiradityaha. So Adityaha, Jyotiradityaha. Sure. Yeah, Jyotiradityaha, Sahishnuhu, Gatisattamaha are the namas in the second line. So when we go into chanting classes, I'll explain a little bit about matras and how matras actually identify, tell us how long we need to pause or how long we need to stretch a particular letter. So in this case, Bhagavan, Bhagahanandi. Notice it's a little longer than your regular Dhirgam. And Vanamali Halayudhaha. Otherwise, there's only one more nuance. Jyotiradityas Sahishnuhu. So there is an extra sibilant before Sahishnu. Who would like to chant this shloka with me?
Guruji, if Bhagahanandi is if it's two names, how do you split it?
Bhagaha Anandi.
Anandi. Bhagaha, like Visarga with.
Bhagaha, that does not have Bhagahaha. It will not be. It will be just.
No. Like, how do you, like, when you are writing it is like Bhaga, like Visarga next to the other?
No, not with the Visarga, just the Ha Akshara with the.
Ha. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ha means somebody who.
Bhagaha, I'm sorry, Bhagaha Nandi. There are two different namas.
Bhagaha Anandi.
Yeah,
How Shankaracharya has split it. Yeah.
Yeah, Bhagaha, and that is one namam. And then Nandi is the other one. Om Nandine Namaha.
Anandaya Namaha, this one. Anandi or Anandine Namaha.
Okay, thanks.
I'm just also checking, and if there were different ways that this was split, because it is possible to split it in different ways.
That's what I thought. Bhagaha is one and Nandi is, I think, another one. But I think it's different books say different things.
Exactly. So I'm just noticing that either it is Nandi or Anandi, depending on how much matras. If we are saying Nandi, then your Bhagaha should be pronounced in a certain way, like how we chant the shloka. So yes. Bhagavan, Bhagaha, Nandi, Vanamali, Halayudhaha would be in the case of Anandi. But if you are taking the interpretation of Nandi, then Bhagavan, Bhagaha, Nandi. So it will be a little shorter Dhirgam.
Yes.
Yeah, so we'll also look at we'll look at the other book too to see what Nandi meaning is. I personally do the Anandi one. So we'll look at both for sure. So anybody wants to chant this shloka?
I can do that.
Bhagavan Bhagahanandi Vanamali Halayudhaha.
Bhagavan Bhagahanandi Vanamali Halayudhaha.
Adityo Jyotiraditya Sahishnurgati Sattamaha.
Adityo Jyotiraditya Sahishnurgati Sattamaha.
Would you like to do the full shloka, Sheshadriji?
Yes. Bhagavan Bhagahanandi Vanamali Halayudhaha. Adityo Jyotiraditya Sahishnurgati Sattamaha.
Awesome. So we'll probably pause there. Everybody knows what Bhagavan, the 6 attributes of Bhagavan. If anybody is able to trace out that shloka that we've been talking about very, very long, a few times now, and even yesterday that came up.
Yes, that's what I was thinking. Yeah, I remembered you yesterday because I remember the meaning of that Bhagava, those 6 attributes, and then an means what is an means.
Exactly.
Thank you for that. Actually, that was very helpful yesterday. I stood like a smart guy finally one time.
Oh, you always have
because of you.
Thanks to you. Not because of me for sure.
Thanks to you.
So if anybody is able to trace out that shloka and the 6 attributes, that would be nice. That is from the Vishnu Puranam. So another takeaway, if anybody wants to do that homework, and it's available on Google. If you want to just Google it and find it, okay, do that as well.
Is it also in the Gita book, Guruji?
The Gita book.
It has there is a shloka in Karma Yoga about how you worship the Nirakara Rupa. What are the attributes of the Nirakara Rupa? I think 3rd or 4th slokam. 3rd slokam in Karma Yoga.
In the 3rd, So the 3rd shloka is actually when Vyamishreneva Vakyena, so Buddhi Moha Yasiti Vema. And then Bhagavan says, there are 2 paths. That's the 3rd shloka. Maybe it's.
Yeah. I think in that, is it the same thing? I'm not sure. So that's why. I think in the 3rd shloka, he talks.
you would find this particular shloka that I'm talking about the 6 attributes in the introduction to Bhagavad-Gita by Swami Dayananda Saraswati ji. In the first 100 pages, you would see is in the footnote that the Tika, he refers to Vishnu Puranam. And the shloka that actually talks about the meaning of Bhagavan iti uchyate is how it ends. And Yasho Kirti Balam Shriyaha. So just I want everybody to just do a bit of homework to find it. So 2 homeworks. Anybody wants to jump on it? The namas, the 4 or 5, sorry, can't recollect the exact number, the 4 or 5 trees that have been mentioned in Vishnu Sahasranamam. What are those? And the shloka that describes the 6 absolute attributes of Bhagavan and the reason why his name is, or he is called as Bhagavan.
I got the chapter wrong. It's 12th chapter that I was talking about. I think that's the, sorry.
No worries. Can you stand the shloka, Kalpanaji? The one that you're talking about? From the Bhakti Yogam?
Etvaksharamanirdeshyam avyaktam paryupasate sarvatra gamachintyam cha kutasthamachalam dhruvam.
Yeah, so that one is very like, as you said, like the Nirvikara Rupas, the Nirguna Rupam. And these are the 6 absolute attributes of Bhagavan, like what characterizes him and why is he called. The Bhaga means what, and An, like, An means what, and why is he called, what are the 6 Bhagas. So that,
okay, I got it.
Yeah,
okay.
you find it in the introduction to Gita by Swami Dayananda Saraswati ji.
Yeah.
It's in the footnotes at the bottom.
Yes.
Swami explains about Bhagavan.
Mhm.
And it's a very popular book.
Gnana Shakti Bala Aishwarya Virya Tejas.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are the ones, attributes, I think, if I remember correctly what you said long back.
Yeah. So I was looking for the actual shloka.
Okay.
So we'll conclude then. Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Sri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Sarvam Sri Mannarayana Charanara Vindarpamastu. Thank you so much for your time. We'll catch up at 10 o'clock.
Thank you, Guruji.
Namaskaram.
Thank you, Sriji.
Thank you,
Thank you, Sriji.
Thank you.
Sriji.
Thank you, Guruji.
Thank you.
धन्यवादः भगिनी
Dhanyavadaha.